Hello. I'm pissed off. So this is gonna be a rant video to talk about how shit this spec is. Not in terms of how much fun it is to play. It's a very fun spec to play. But in terms of how much HPS it does comparatively to other healers and what it provides to the raid. Um, so to go over what it provides to the raid in terms of, its healing profile and whatnot. Um, Comparatively to other healers, it provides nothing of interest. It does nothing uniquely to any other healer. Um, there are healers that do more single target healing than Mistweaver Monk. Previously, Mistweaver Monk's sort of a niche that it held on to was that it had very, very strong single target healing into one person. If you channeled Soothing Mist into them and you spammed HPS into them, that's no longer the case. They have been beaten by other healers. Holy Paladins can do it on wings with Second Sunrise and spamming Holy Shocks that cast multiple times into the same target. Um, Holy Priest can do it by just pressing heal, flash heal, and Holy Word Serenity. Preservation Evokers can even do it depending on how large the hit was. Like if it's a tank, for example, they can Golden Hour the tank for 7 million healing. Um, so Mystery Monk doesn't really have a niche anymore. It doesn't really do anything good. Its HPS windows are pretty small comparatively to what other healers have in terms of what their HPS looks like. Um, this is my Rashnan Mythic log. Um, this is at the time of this is rank 7 for HPS. Um, and it still doesn't even do that much. Um, if we were to go look at the healing parses, and we go look at Rashnan, you can see that, doing 1.66 mil, being rank 7, isn't really that good comparatively to some of these other logs. And even if we, filter by post-nerfs, right, it's still very far behind. These are post-nerf logs. It's still very far behind Evoker. It's, Restoration Druid got a 5% buff this reset. Um, they're doing significantly more HPS. If we look at a fight like Nexus Princess, for example, which is a very high damage taken fight. Healers have to do quite a lot of HPS to keep people alive. We can see that Mystery Monk is the worst healer here. Um, and what's funny about it as well is that the people who are killing this fight on Mistweaver are Mystery Monks who basically one-trick the spec and are playing it pretty much at like the highest level that you can play it. And they're not beating people who might be, Fodom rerolling or aren't particularly the greatest at playing their spec in terms of, Restoration Shaman or Holy Paladin or Holy Priest, people who are just sort of, rerolling to fit the meta comp needs, right? Um, Something else that is funny to note about this is that Mystery Monk is the only healer on this fight so far that has not broken 2 million HPS. As you can see, every other healer has done 2 million HPS or more, and Mystery Monk is the only healer at the moment that hasn't done that. Obviously, that'll change as the Severed Threads buff goes in, but for right now, it's the only healer that hasn't done 2 million HPS. If we look at all the bosses as well, and we go into, per second amounts, it'll show basically the same thing. Excluding the one fight that Mystery Monk is like sort of really good at, which is Brute Twister. The reason why Mystery Monk is so good on this fight is because of a gimmick build. This build can only exist on this fight, or if there ever is another fight, which there's only ever been 2 of these fights since Dragonflight. But if there's a fight that has consistent 3 target cleave, that is close enough in melee range that you can hit them, uh, you can play this build. The sort of bad part about this, though, is that as you get the Severed Threads buff, um, Mystery Monk doesn't actually gain HPS in this fight. It loses HPS because the ads die too quick to the point that you won't be able to get enough Gust of Mist hits to reset the cooldown of your Chi-Ji, to the point that you could use it on every egg break set, like it's done here. So, as time goes on, you will do less HPS in this fight, as it'll become harder to reset the cooldown of your Chi-Ji, which is bad. But if we look at, all the monks, we look at every person who's played Mistweaver on this fight, and we look at all the builds that they're playing, pretty much everyone's playing this Jadefire Stomp build. It's very good to do. It's definitely, I highly recommend it on this fight. It's very fun. The first person who didn't play Jadefire Stomp on this fight, which again, Brute Twister is a fight with a lot of healing on it, right? You need to do a lot of HPS on it. First person to not play it is this person here, and they did 1.8 mil HPS. So still not meeting the the 2 mil HPS requirement. Well, not requirement, but the 2 mil HPS threshold that the other healers are able to get on these fights. And if we look at Nexus Princess in general, we can see obviously there's a lot of logs here that are pre-nerf Flame Shaper, so it's kind of hard to compare to that. But even if we look at like post-nerf Flame Shaper logs, right? These are all post-nerf. Still doing 2.3 mil, 2.4 mil here. Nearly 2.5 mil HPS, right? That's kind of weird. They got nerfed, though. But, we go look at Mistweaver monks, and for some odd reason, we're not really doing a whole lot of HPS. There's even a log here that has 4 innervates, and it did 1.8 mil. Right? And sure, this looks okay for this log. It's not bad, but this is, 82 percentile, and it's still getting beat handedly by the Preservation Evoker, who's 71st, right? Why is that the case? Why is that happening? Mystery Monk doesn't bring any DR. We don't have anything that, there's no longer any raid buffs that we have. Those buffs have been removed. Like, we don't have the avoidance given to the entire group. We don't have the healing increase given to the entire group. Those have been removed. So, why is it that a pure HPS spec is doing this poorly? Right? I could understand the idea of like, Holy Priest being lower on the rankings because, him is definitely very good and it provides a lot of HPS. Actually, in terms of healing cooldowns, him is one of the best cooldowns in the game because it provides so much HPS. But, Restoration Druid got a 5% buff going into this reset. Preservation Evoker is really far up there. And Mystery Monk is on the lowest of all the healers. Even if we sort by, like a week here, and this is just looking at this week alone, we're still the lowest. And this is including, having Brute Twister on there, inflating our median. If you remove Brute Twister from this, like, Brute Twister bumps us up so much, right? If you remove Brute Twister from this, we don't do anything. Like, we suck ass. Like, we're not good at healing. We just suck. Like, the highest percentile HPS is significantly higher for every other healer than it is for Mistweaver Monk. Maybe the average is a lot higher for Mistweaver Monk than, Holy Paladin, for example, here, but Holy Paladin brings DR. Like, it shouldn't do the most amount of healing in the game. It shouldn't be the highest throughput spec. There shouldn't be this much of a gap between Preservation Evoker and Mistweaver Monk when Preservation Evoker has more DR in terms of, like, Zephyr and Renewing Blaze and all the other externals that it has, comparatively to Mistweaver Monk. I look at how much my Life Cocoon does. 3 million shield is half of my HP bar. Right? Like, how are you going to live a mechanic? That's 2 ticks of a debuff on Rashnap. If an ad bites you, it does 1.5 mil every second. Like, you're not living that with Life Cocoon alone. You could live it with Time Dilate and just, other healing from other healers going on. But I can't rely on Life Cocoon to save anyone anymore. My Revival fucking does nothing. Like, what am I here? 625 item level, right? I'm definitely not low item level. My Revival hits for just barely over my HP bar. I have 6 million HP. Why is it the average cast of it 6.8 million? A healing enchant is doing significantly more HPS than my revival, my 3-minute cooldown. For what purpose? You know, this isn't even the most frustrating part of it all. The spec feels great. You know, I said at the beginning, the spec feels amazing. It's really fun to play. It's fluid. The rotation is super fun. It doesn't feel rewarding, though. You know, you can execute a ramp and you don't do anything. You don't do HPS. HP bars don't move. You press revival and it doesn't do healing. Like, I'll press revival here and HP bars don't really move that much. Like, I gain nothing out of it. Right? I'll go back to the beginning of the fight and I'm doing my ramp, not doing anything. I could just be beat by, like, any Pres Evoker at any point. Right? Luckily, I don't play with one in this raid. But if there was, like, a Pres Evoker who, you know, was life binding that or just engulfing it, they'd beat me. Like, this is my full cooldown. I've already used, you know, so much, and I'm only doing this much HPS. Like, I'm doing fucking nothing. Like, the HPS window for this spec is so much lower than every other spec in the game, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why Mistweaver Monk has to suffer for what it did last expansion. Like, going into this expansion, we lost Clouded Focus. We gained Pool of Mist over it. Right? Pool of Mist would be a welcome addition to the spec if it wasn't a fucking HPS loss. Pool of Mist is an HPS loss. Fucking Dancing Mist is an HPS loss. You're better off having less Renewing Mist. Look at this. My raw healing per cast, 2.34 million, right? Even higher effective healing. 6.5 average Renewing Mist out per Vivify cast. When I go look at it, higher, you know, average Renewing Mist out here, and it's fucking less healing. How does that make sense? Why is that the case? So even if I wanted to play with the fucking replacement talents for Clouded Focus, I can't. Because they're HPS losses. Like, I can't play with 2 of my talent points. This fucking talent is so fucking goddamn useless, it's unplayably bad. Like, you will never be able to fucking play with this talent because it's just so fucking pissed. Like, let's go look at how much healing this talent does. If you guessed it does more than 1% HPS, you'd be dead fucking wrong. This talent does fucking nothing. It's so unbelievably bad. This isn't even the log for it. Where do you even have the log for this? Did I play it on anything? Oh, maybe I didn't even play it at all. Let's go see. Surely I played this. Well, maybe not. Or maybe this is the log here. Let's go see. Oh, wow. 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 That's great, man. Less healing than a fucking Hellstone. Why is it in the game? Why would you... There's probably some unlucky motherfucker out there that accidentally talented into this and is just losing HPS as a result. 4.55% spell power. What the fuck? Like, I don't understand it. Genuinely. I know other specs have bad talents. Bad talents exist. But to have talents be literal fucking HPS losses to play, and to play this spec in a way that you have to play unoptimally to do the most amount of HPS is fucking stupid. Like, I don't want to have to sit on Renewing Mist charges. I don't want to have to sit on my Rising Sun kick, because I'm going to lose HPS if I press it, because I'll have too many Renewing Mists. And I have talents that synergize with Renewing Mist really well. I want them because of Chi Harmony. I want them because of Misty Peaks. I want them because of Invigorating Mist. But where do I lose HPS? On Invigorating Mist. If I have too many of them, I lose healing on it. What the fuck? Like, we lost Clouded Focus. We lost the 45% increase to Vivify Cleave. We lost the 45% increase to our fucking Celestial window. Yet, we got nerfed going from Dragonflight into this expansion. We not only lost Clouded Focus, we also got nerfed on our fucking Invoker's Light. Invoker's Light reads 33% here. You can go check it in game. It's 20%. That's a massive nerf to our Celestial window. On top of fucking losing Clouded Focus. So now our windows look shit. And they are shit. Like, this is a Celestial window here. It's doing 2.5 million HPS. Like, one cast of Engulf, pre-nerf, did more than an entire 25-second Yulon ramp. How? Why? I put fucking, 22 globals into my ramp on Yulon to do less healing than fucking 3 global cooldowns spent on an Inverted Embrace, a Dream Breath, and a fucking Engulf. I don't understand it. Like, we made the change, and they made the change recently to Master of Harmony. Great change. Fix it. You know, that's good. I love that both talents are now playable. They nerfed Coalescence from 30% down to 20%. I understand the nerf too. The nerf was so that Coalescence wouldn't overperform, or Master of Harmony wouldn't overperform comparatively to Conduit of Celestials. I understand that. That's a good nerf. That makes sense. But now you took a build that was actually going to give us a little bit of a fighting chance against some of these other specs and nerfed it. And now we're just at the same spot that we were at before. Now there's no change. Aspect of Harmony is not... It's not any better than Celestial Conduit. It's not going to do more. You're not going to gain HPS from it. So then what happens? It's come to the point now where this tier reminds me of Eternal Palace, just 1-for-1, where Mistweaver Monk is like the worst healer by far. And is like unplayably bad almost. And it's like you're kind of forced off of it. Like, you can't... You go look at the amount of damage. Like, you can go look at it in-game right now. The amount of damage that Queen Anthrax dot does in P3 on Mythic, 460k every 2 seconds raid-wide. When that dot ticks for 460k across the entire raid, one press of Revival won't even do enough healing to do 70% of that fucking dot. You can see the average hit here for Revival. 323k. And we have 6 million HP. What? I could chi burst for more than it. Like, my chi burst probably, on average, could do more. Like, this is without even having the other tree that buffs it by 50%. I'm not playing around it very well. You know, 8 casts of chi burst beat out 2 casts of Revival. Why? Like, my thoughts on Mistweaver right now, because I've been asked a couple times by people to like make a video on my thoughts on Mistweaver Monk. I think that if you play the spec right now, you are playing entirely for fun. You are not playing to be competitive. You are not playing to achieve the highest ranks. You are not playing to see playtime in guilds that care about their rankings. You're not going to get invited to high keys. I don't really know how the situation is for Mistweaver Monk in PvP. I know that people have been complaining quite a bit, so I would recommend that's probably not that great for PvP. But in keys and in raid, it's not very good. It's terrible. I can understand that Mistweaver Monk sucks in keys. That's fine. I don't genuinely care about keys. Like, it's infinitely scaling content. Obviously, there's going to be a spec that's better than another one. That's just the way it is. But in raid, you shouldn't have a pure throughput spec be beat by every other spec in the game, including ones that have fucking DRs. Fucking Discipline Priests, they don't get punished for having more atonements out. Restoration Shaman with Riptide, they don't get punished for having more Riptides out. Why do we get punished for having more Renewing Mists out? Why do we lose HPS for having more Renewing Mists out? What the fuck is the point of that? Like, it makes no sense. It makes no fucking sense. I don't know. That's my rant. Fix this fucking spec. If you want suggestions on how to fix it, remove the square root scaling on Invigorating Mist. Just don't change anything else. Don't change the fucking spell power on the spell, or on the talent. Don't do any of that. Just remove the reduce beyond 5 allies and leave it at that. Revert Invoker's Light back up to fucking 33% haste, and then the spec will be fixed. It'll be fine. That's a large enough buff to make it viable, to make it better than these other specs. Mistweaver Monk should never lose to Holy Paladin. It should never lose to fucking Discipline Priest, or it should never lose to Restoration Shaman on HPS. It's a pure HPS spec. It does only HPS. It doesn't bring any DR. It doesn't bring any fucking utility. It shouldn't be worse than these specs on fucking healing. That is, like, unbelievably bad balance. And if we're gonna make, you know, hotfix changes and we're gonna go fucking week by week buffing up specs by 5%, buffing them up by 3%, fix it. Do something. Like, make the spec better. This is fucking stupid. Anyways, thank you for watching.